I've got every Premier League fan here to see whether they agree or disagree.
Now, guys, the concept is quite simple here. I'll say a statement, and if you agree, you obviously stand on the blue side, and if you disagree, you stand on the red. Fans will then be asked as to why they have made their decision, and we'll see if anyone wants to change.
Chelsea will win the Premier League in the next 3 years.
Where's agreeing? Where's disagree?
Agree. So if you agree, you go on the blue side. Disagree on the red side.
Oh, you guys are haters.
No, it's Maresca. Maresca's not a Premier League.
Yeah? I see you.
Okay.
I see you.
Okay, who said about the Maresca? Please make your statement as to why, sorry.
It's just, there's teams ahead, there's managers that are better calibre. I just really think that he's not going to be the man that wins the Premier League, especially within the next 3 years. It's quite a quick turnaround.
Can I just ask about the managers who are better?
Managers who are better?
Yeah.
In
Arteta,
terms of potential,
Pep.
I'd have Arteta, I'd have Pep, I'd probably have Anarim, I'd probably have
Amarin based on
Slot,
what?
yes, Slot, Annie Slot.
Amarin
Not
based,
that.
okay. In my opinion, I'm looking at Arsenal, I'm looking at Liverpool, I'm looking at Man United, I'm looking at their contract situation and the players they're going to have to take out and bring in. We've got people on death row. We've got all our players here for about 8 years. In 3 years, they're definitely going to win the league. They are levels above some of your players that are still going to be here in 2-3 years.
What if they don't
That's
turn
what I'm
out
saying.
any good and then they're just there as dead wood and you're paying
Who?
them? Anyone that's on an 8-year contract.
Like Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson, João Felix, Pedro Neto, who are all firing. Madueke.
But then
It's going to be a problem at some point.
I agree. Like those players will probably all be good in 3 or 4 years. But let's say hypothetically, Cole Palmer goes, "I want to leave. I'm done."
But
then
that could
what?
probably happen after like 3-4 years. We're talking about the next 2 or 3 years. In the next 2 or 3 years, our team currently is sitting fourth with a manager that a lot of people doubted to begin with, right? And these players are still going to be here for the next 2 to 3 years. We don't know where Mo Salah's going to be. We don't know where Trent's going to be. We don't know where Saka in a couple of years is going to be. Yeah, I went there. We don't know where Odegaard's going to be. There's a lot of factors for the top teams, and there's not a lot of factors for Chelsea. Chelsea, in the next 2-3 years, I expect them to win the Premier League.
I guess because Chelsea have done things a bit differently, like in terms of tying people down. So it just means that I guess there's less certainty to what will happen if things start to go wrong. That's why I'm over here.
And 100%, when things go wrong for all of your clubs, you'll see
We'll never
me.
go wrong, mate.
Yours is already.
I think 3 years is a long time, right? And if you look at the growth that a team can make in 3 years, the growth I think Chelsea needs to make to get to a winning Premier League table.
Do you know what? You
It's
can't
more
talk
than a
to
3
me
year
about winning a
period. Trust
Premier
me,
League.
I've been here for 4 years thinking we're going to win the league. It's not happening in
We're
football.
not the same.
It's going to happen eventually, but it takes 3 years is a very long time in football. At the same time, it's sometimes too quick. I feel like it could be too quick for Chelsea to win the league. At the same time, you need 3 years of growing whilst other teams around you aren't growing at the same rate.
My thing is, right, and this is a complete dig to Arsenal and you.
And me.
You telling me about winning the Premier League in 3 to 4 years when winning the Premier League is basically our bread and butter after Man City, United and Liverpool. No, sorry, not Liverpool, after Man City and United, is funny to me. Because if Chelsea were in your position for the last 3 to 4 years, we would have won the league. That's the difference.
None of those players won the league.
It's different.
History.
But that's the thing, I'm talking about history, but that is the history and the DNA of my club. The history and DNA of Arsenal is to fumble it every time.
But it's completely changed now. New ownership.
No one in your match day squad was there when Chelsea did it.
Okay, Cole Palmer's won the Premier League. He's got the experience. Yeah.
I think the thing is, they want to talk about the past quite a lot. If you look at that future of that Chelsea team, that's one of the strongest spines in the Premier League. And if you add a good goalkeeper to that, the only thing is, I would say, and I am over here, but it'd be interesting to see next year, because I think you'll be in the top 4, and I'm not saying you're going to go and win the league next year, how the Chelsea team copes with playing Champions League football every week, because at the moment you are putting out a B team every Thursday. So it'd be interesting to see how they cope with that. But Caicedo, 23, Jackson's one of the best strikers in the league. Palmer is one of the best players in the league. I love if you can keep Fofana fit. Colwell's got a lot of time to grow as well. He's a top player. I think he's just kind of a goalkeeper away from that being one of the really strong spines. But again, it's about what's ahead of you. And I don't know. I think they can do. If it was Can, I'd definitely be over here. That's why I'm kind of the closest to.
Do you not think we're skipping over the fact their manager is Maresca. Why is
Yeah,
that?
like, if they had... about Arteta though.
Yeah, but we're not talking about
that took more than 3 years.
Yeah, but not talking about
All right, if we had this conversation 3 years ago, would you say, can Arsenal win the league in 3 years?
Probably would have done the same side.
Yeah, but they nearly did.
They didn't.
As much as pains me to say it, but they were how many points away? Like, that just showed, if things had slightly gone a different way, Arsenal would have been champions in the last 2 years. I know it should have, would have, could have, but like the reality is they could have done it. So Chelsea definitely can do it.
I don't disagree with that, but at the same time, I don't think they will.
No, if you think that they can, you might as well say they will. I'm not saying it's hard. It's a tough question.
I think this is a very obvious point I'm about to make. Do we not feel as though Chelsea have shot themselves in the foot with an 8-year contract?
That's what I
like. What happens when after 2-3 years, some of your players on the bench who have grown into great players start saying, "Well, I want first team football." You've got 40 players, you can't play.
But do you know the question is in 2 to 3 years though? After 2-3 years, it's none of my business.
They're good at selling.
Do you know what I mean? In 2 to 3 years, they're still going to be here and they're still going to be fighting for their position and they're all going to want to play first team football. None of those players want to sit on the bench. And do you know what?
João Felix wanting to leave is going to hold Chelsea back from winning.
And even if it does,
potentially, but I think as long as you keep those really important players and that's fine and happy, and you've got a squad of players. Yeah, I get your point, but I don't think it's going to hold them back.
Maresca handles it well. Like one thing I've noticed with Chelsea is I think he's handled the players well at Chelsea, but they look like a team this season. Last year, Cole Palmer show a lot. Today it isn't just about Cole Palmer. They've got Caicedo, they've got Nicholas Jackson. You know, Colwell looks like a player there. They need a goalkeeper. They're a little bit vulnerable at the back, but they look like a team. And what Maresca's building, if you actually look at the style of play and the system, it's one of the best in the league right now. On the eye, Chelsea are one of the best teams in my opinion, and I think he's only just come in. There's more to come in transfer windows. The players are so young, as you know. Caicedo 23, he's been unbelievable this season. Cole Palmer must be 21, 22.
Yeah.
I think generally they could. With City dropping off, I think obviously Liverpool are doing really well at the moment. You know, United might be on the up, but we always say that United fans are not. You have to look at Chelsea, Arsenal and Liverpool if City drop off and say, actually, Chelsea, they know how to win.
Yeah.
I think that City drop off is such a big if though. Like I know they've had a bad season so far, but like Pep, like if Pep's here next year, I would always back City to finish above anyone.
And do you know what? I'd always back City as well, but I still also back Chelsea to be good enough to compete with City and take them straight to the edge in the next 2 to 3 years, 100%. And yeah, man.
Okay. Would anyone like to change sides? Lock it in.
I didn't convince none of y'all.
I would also be on this side, guys. Shock horror. Chelsea fan thinks they're going to win. Chelsea fans think they're going to win. I'm going to replace Anita because she's got to run. Busy girl. I'm now the Chelsea fan. The Premier League is suited to the big clubs. Agree or disagree? Okay. Now, it doesn't really matter if you are closer to the rope or not. You either just agree or disagree. So yeah, agree is over on the blue side. Okay, let's start with Brighton then. So you think the Premier League is fair?
I think that if you look over a long history, we had a big 2, then a big 3, then a big 6. Now we're back to a big 3. I think it changes all the time. And if you look historically at the clubs abroad, the way that they do their TV revenue is so unfairly split. It's never really changed on that. So I think there is the dream and the possibility in the Premiership that there isn't elsewhere.
Okay. Crystal Palace over here. You think the Premier League is unfair?
I don't know. I think it's suited to the big teams, but I don't necessarily think that's wrong.
Okay.
Like I think, I do for the most part, the big teams in the Premier League have become just that because they have grown over a long period of time. They're in big cities. They've got big fan bases. Like football is suited to the big teams, and that's kind of fine. Like I don't necessarily mind that. I don't know. Maybe that's unfair.
Wait, sorry.
I agree with that.
I'm a bit confused what you're actually asking here.
So do you think that the Premier League, if you are a big team, you are kind of given an advantage over a little team or a smaller team? So you do agree? You would say so.
Yeah,
Why would you say so as a Newcastle fan?
Well, so I could be here all day now because obviously, as you know, as soon as Newcastle got taken over, PSR started getting involved, and you got the other thing about, you know, when you get sponsored, like basically other outlets coming in, like, you know, like that are Saudis, apparently state-owned, etc., etc., etc. So for me, I just feel like the so-called big six, so-called big guys, especially Spurs and all that, Daniel Levy and the boys, they don't want clubs like Aston Villa, Newcastle United, even Forest. Their owner was ambitious to try and spend, and even Palace Palace have got money. Don't get it twisted. They can do more as well, but it's just not being allowed to. And I feel like it's just like because it's a business. It's like they just want to keep the so-called big boys there and won't let other teams try and catch up. Because if they let us have a free fall, for example, if an owner comes in, I believe you should at least be allowed a year or two just to do what you're doing. Do you get what I'm saying? And if it was that the case, I think it'd be much more competitive.
You would say that, though, wouldn't you? Because you've been on the fringes for that amount of
No,
time.
yeah.
Like, Spurs is a weird
Yeah.
example to use
Yeah.
it because we've got where we've got to by being quite financially sustainable, and we are in a position where if an owner or someone wants to buy a minority stake or whatever comes in, they will have money to spend because of how compliant Spurs have been with PSR.
But where's the balance though? Like for me, it's unfair, yeah, because before the rules and stuff, look, let's keep it real. Man City and Chelsea messed up the whole thing for everyone. Do you get what I'm saying? So they've come in, they've got to do what they're doing, and plus build on that financially. So now the so-called little guys want to come in. I mean, like we're not the richest club, but we've got the richest owners in the whole football pyramid in the world. And I think we should be allowed to be able to, you know what I'm saying, to try and keep them all competitive.
The Premier League stopping that isn't against, like Newcastle. Man City were just Newcastle before, and they've realised that they shouldn't be able to do that, so they've stopped it. So your argument doesn't really.
No, but it's ironic. It's ironic when Newcastle got taken over, you started seeing that is that coincidence?
But is that not the Prem learning from it, going, we don't want that to happen again?
I just say that you should be able to spend willy-nilly.
But then where's the balance then, bro? It's not fair. I know life ain't fair anyway, but then it's not fair, is it?
See, I think there's more friction between the Premier League and the big clubs than we think as fans. I don't think they get on with it. I don't think they get effectively when they try to leave and join the Champions League or the Super League. That's trying to leave the Premier League. That's step one.
But look at the votes though as well.
Step one.
Look at the votes that's being going on. Like for example, come on, do you really think, let's say Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, you really think they'll be like, yeah, cool, let Newcastle try and compete? Like obviously they don't want us to spend. Why would you want us to? You wouldn't want us to compete. I think they are against us, bro. Like
you've got Champions League football without doing that. In fact, Villa have got Champions League football without being able to spend willy-nilly. It shows you can.
No, but hear the cry though. So Villa, for example, similar to Newcastle, yeah. Like obviously we can spend because we tried to spend 70 mil on Mark Gurhey. Thank God that never went through. I think that's wild.
Yeah, but you nearly did though.
No,
Villa spent 60 million
but what's crazy is but we had to show as well. Like Minte, we need a right winger. We ain't got no right winger. He's gone to Brighton to the PSR. Elliot Anderson, homegrown. He's gone to he had to go to Forest. So for me, I'm just
so your issue is the transfer, like not being able to spend your own money.
Yeah, but that's down to the Premier League. I'm saying. I think like, and also clubs as well. I think they like the fact that the so-called smaller clubs can't really catch up with them. Okay. So I don't think it's even. In my opinion.
I'd like to get Bournemouth's point of view. How do you look at as so you agree the Premier League suits the bigger clubs?
Yeah, but I'm only slightly I hear the arguments from over there, and I'm not like absolutely saying, but you might agree, Big Six fans, but I think there's a Big Six bias in the reffing.
So you think the officiating is where it comes into it?
Sorry?
I think they're just rubbish for everyone.
Yeah, they are rubbish, but I just think that the decisions get a lot more scrutinised for the big clubs, and then I just think
there's a bigger pressure on it. You think if there's a decision and then against Manchester United, and if it happened to Bournemouth for a penalty, Man United might be more likely to get it.
I think so, yeah. I know it sounds ridiculous.
No, it's fair enough. I think your opinion is absolutely fine. I do want to but Manchester City over here. So you disagree that the Premier League suits the big clubs?
On the basis that I don't really think there's a side. Like I think there's no solidarity between any club, and they will ultimately just vote for whatever's best for themselves. Like we're going to vote to just spend as much as however you could possibly want. Then Tottenham aren't going to vote for that because they don't want to spend money. So they're not like because we're friends with Brentford. Like so I don't really think there's a fair or unfair or unbiased. Everyone's just selfish.
Apart from Newcastle, I think there's a low key little. You know what I mean?
You should be able to spend money, but just not. I don't know. There should be some sort of limit.
Would anyone want to swap sides? Everyone's still happy with their own position? Yeah. Okay. Ange will be successful at Tottenham Hotspur.
What does success look like?
That's up to you. I mean, they've not won a trophy. In a long time. So a trophy would be success, yes.
Yeah, he'll win something, I think.
You thought you were going to be on your own.
Yeah, I did.
I don't want to sign it off, mainly because I like Ange. I think he's a good manager. I think Spurs keeping him is a good thing. The issue is I don't think he's going to win a trophy. I think that's what success is for Tottenham Hotspur right now. I don't think he's going to win the Europa League. I don't think he's going to win the League Cup, and I don't think he's going to win the FA Cup. He's definitely obviously not going to win the Premier League. And for this is this season as well, I guess. Obviously, maybe in future he could do that. But there is bubblings right now within the Spurs fan base. I think they're stupid, but there is bubblings of like them not being very happy with him and not being satisfied. And so because of that, I think he'd be unsuccessful.
I will say that's massively overblown, though. Like it's probably about.
It's not the majority.
Yeah, it's the silent. It's the kind of vocal majority.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's sort of the things you hear on Talksport or whatever, people ringing up and saying he's got to go, mate. Like, it's. I think the big thing that's holding Ange back, or will be holding Ange back from winning the thing, is the investment from the board. We never seem to take that step to go that extra mile to win. We're so close all the time to winning. If you kind of strip that away, which obviously you can't, and I will always believe that we can win, and that's why I'm over here. I think that is the main thing holding him back. But we've shown that we can go toe to toe with big teams. Knock Man City out in the last round of the cup. I know Man City are obviously in this kind of spiral at the moment, but we've got Man United in the next round. I think we can knock them out as well. In the League Cup, I think we can go far in Europe. Have we got the squad to do that? Will it affect our league form? Probably. But I think in terms of his style and his unwavering belief in it and what he thinks he can deliver as a manager and the fact that he can take this young squad with him, I think we can.
You don't think he's too stubborn, though?
No, I don't think he's too stubborn.
What's success as a Spurs fan? So I understand you've got a good chance of winning the League Cup. You win the League Cup, and then you're 18 months from now, and you're like, what? You won the League Cup in 2008, and then nothing since. It's not
that changed a period where we were in a totally different space as a football club. Whereas now, I'm not saying the League Cup is a springboard to kick on and win the Champions League. But in terms of the mentality and kind of shaking off that tag of Spursy and we don't win the things we're bottlers.
Winning a cup now is success.
Yeah,
100%. Spurs win a cup right now, they are laughing.
Yeah.
Everyone finally gets over
they did
that
it
whole
in
thing.
2008 and haven't won anything.
Yeah, but again, that was
Sure.
nearly 2 decades.
But I think with the way Spurs are considered as a top 6 club, as one of the best in the Premier League, like people criticise Arteta, right? He won the FA Cup. He at least done something. Like people moan at Manchester United that they've been awful for the last couple of years. They've won 2 cups. Spurs, people say that they're a good team. They play good football. They've not won anything.
Yeah, no, I agree. Winning the League Cup would be successful, but at the same time.
Do you think
I
they
was half and half because
Okay.
I do like Ange, but I don't think like winning the League Cup. There seems to be this thing where it's like they'll win that and then they'll start competing for everything. It's like,
no, but I'm not saying
that
I don't
shit again.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I'm not saying the League Cup is like a springboard for us to go and do the treble or whatever. It's just that mentality thing and kind of shaking off that as a squad, especially as a young squad that we are now.
But the question is also, will Ange be successful at Tottenham? And winning the cup is considered a success, no?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I think he won't win the cup.
Why
So
not?
that's why.
Yeah, why?
Why? I just think he makes the wrong decisions. Like I think the way he manages games sometimes, I agree. You can go toe to toe against one of the worst City sides in the last decade. But the point, kind of on top of that, more so, is that
Hot here, isn't it?
some of the decision making in games by like him sticking to this high line, where in some games you've got to drop it. You've got to drop it. Like
I think it's
swallow a bit of pride.
overblown. Yeah.
I think that's massively overblown.
But you've
Our
seen
defensive
games
issues this season haven't come from being too gung ho and naive. It's been
It's
bad
injuries.
defending, a lot, bad injuries, and bad.
But the injuries
Seven
mean
days.
you should drop it back a little bit. If you are playing a Ben Davies and Dragerson centre back partnership, they're not as quick as Van der Ven. Drop it back.
Yeah, but we did
Yeah,
that against Man City,
keeper.
and then Ange never gets the credit for doing that.
Sure. Like Ange was great, but then also what happened against Fulham? Like again, Fulham have been amazing this season. They definitely have.
Yeah.
But you drew against Fulham. Like you're about to play the Chelsea game this weekend. It's massive. Like I'm going to end up looking like an absolute fool. Him playing the
In all
final.
fairness, though, a lot of clubs are moaning about injuries. We've got quite a lot of injuries at the moment. We played that Fulham game with no Solanke, who makes a massive difference to our attack in terms of pressing, in terms of link-up play. We are the best attack in the league, and that is down to him. Or I'm not saying we are the best, but we have had the best this season. Kulusevski didn't play in that game because he desperately needs a rest.
He's
And
the
look,
best player.
the football that we play takes a lot out of the squad, and to go and win things on a consistent basis, we need to invest more. We need a deeper squad because there are going to be injuries because we play a very high-intensity brand of football.
Do you believe that the success that you're trying to achieve with Ange can be followed with the board giving him what he wants? Do you feel as though the board are like willing enough, to show that this is the right person to invest with? Like you've had Conte, Mourinho, proven managers, and now what's the difference to go trust Ange ahead of those two?
That is my worry, but it feels like there's a more long-term plan in place. I'm just kind of believing that hopefully will happen, that they see enough in him as a manager to follow him down that path, because I do think he's trying to change the mentality of the club to make us winners, where I feel like Conte, it was kind of more like, I'm going to put all my medals on the table and we should win because I am a winner. Whereas Ange, again, people will say like it was only in Australia or whatever, but he has won things as well. But I think he's going about it in a different way where he is trying to change the culture. Whereas I think like Conte and Mourinho weren't really that asked about that. Whereas I think there was more of a long-term strategy in place. The big thing, like you said, is whether the board will follow him down that path. And that is my worry. But I'm always going to believe that we can do it as a Spurs fan. I'm not saying we definitely will, but I believe that we can. And I believe he's the manager to do it.
To play devil's advocate, though, I do think we're being harsh in how we define the term success, because I think for the majority of football clubs here, none of our managers are ever going to be successful. Then.
But you've also not spent the hundreds of millions that Spurs have recently.
Yeah, they have.
But for me,
is in context with everyone else, not West Ham in particular. Sure.
Yeah. If we contextualise the statement that Ange is never going to have win a cup at Tottenham, I don't think he's likely to. But for all the points that Ben just made in terms of having to go into that Tottenham dressing room, dealing with the loss of Harry Kane, getting everyone going in the same direction. To me, Tottenham are an impressive football team. Yes, they are stubborn in how they play. It works for them and it doesn't work for them. But for me, that is a success. There's been a million football teams that have lost their best players and gone backwards. I think Spurs are not necessarily gone forwards or gone backwards, but they've at least maintained where they are in the league. To me, that defines success. But is he going to win the League Cup? No.
Okay. Also, was Pochettino a success at Spurs?
Yes, but he did get into a Champions League final.
But they didn't win anything.
Didn't win it.
Sure.
Was Ten Hag
final was very different.
Was Ten Hag a success at Man United?
Yeah, exactly. No.
But he won the FA Cup.
But the Champions
twice.
Final, I think the Champions final is different to the FA Cup.
Yeah, but we were. The thing is, if you think,
but it's relative to 100%.
Yeah, and also if you isolate that Champions League final, don't get me wrong, it was an amazing run to get there. But we were very lucky, and we were quite poor in the league that season. We had things go for us in that run, and as a Spurs fan, we're like, this doesn't happen to us. Like that against Man City, the VAR thing. Don't get me wrong, we played really well in Amsterdam to overturn that deficit. But our league form massively fell off. We were a much, much better team for the 2 or 3 years prior, where we were close to winning the league twice, and we probably deserved to win something, and we got to semi-finals of FA Cups and that kind of thing. We just let ourselves down in those games, and I do think, again, that was partly down to the fact that Poch wasn't backed enough at all. Like there were so many summers where it's like, you only need 2 players, and then we're there. But again, it's all if buts and maybes, isn't it? But I believe, mate.
Pep Guardiola ruined the Premier League. Agree? Disagree? Where would people go? You don't have to look where people are going. Oh wow! Let's go! Oh, wow! Pat ourselves on the back, guys. Well done. Well done. We are honourable football fans. Let's just get back to the middle. Nice. Well done.
Fair and square.
Well done, everyone. If Manchester City are found guilty, it tarnishes their Premier League legacy.
Quick decision. You can advise how much can be, mate.
This can't be a debate.
Of course, it's a Newcastle.
Agree with this?
Yeah.
It's a cool set of Newcastle.
What are you doing?
Well, I'll explain.
I love West Ham.
You're going first, Kieran. You're the City fan. You start off, mate.
It will to everyone else. It won't to me, because quite frankly, I don't give a shit if we paid Mancini a bit more. Like I just don't care. Like the goal still went in.
But the issue's more
we still went 2-0 down to Aston Villa and had to score 3.
But if you are able to buy players more because of financial,
I just think it's what everyone could do for the past 200 years before they were like, oh, hang on a minute.
You're making his argument from earlier.
Yeah, and they should be able to spend more money.
Straight up.
Like there should be some sort of limit, but I don't know numbers. I don't know. I don't know the solution, but I just think all of it still happened, and quite frankly, as the things we've apparently allegedly broken, were coming in whilst we had just been bought, so they were just trying to stop it, and then you've got all the top 4 clubs, which are now more. Thank you very much. We're trying to stop us and sending letters together behind our back, being like, oh, have a look at them. And it's just like, well, you all spend money forever, and you're all just trying to keep your place at the top.
What would you back in with?
I think we're talking about a decade worth of financial mismanagement, which has obviously helped emphasise and helped the team perform to the level that they did. But we're talking about the performances on the pitch were there. In 10, 15 years' time, I won't think any less of Kevin De Bruyne or Erling Haaland or Sergio Aguero or David Silva or Yaya Toure or insert any player you want. I think they're all Premier League greats, and this Man City side, whether you want to admit it or not, have been one of the greatest teams. Of course, that's built on financial mismanagement, but I think the team was there to play football. Pep Guardiola lined them up.
Wow.
Yes.
What convinced you there? What convinced you there? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Same, man.
Join us.
Yeah, you're right. They're just an incredible team, and I think more than anything, Pep Guardiola is an incredible manager, and I think they would have done it regardless if they did spend that bit more. I think, we're all still going to accept that they did win the Premier League then.
But do they get Pep Guardiola if they're not paying him all that extra money that they are then essentially illegally getting? Allegedly.
No.
Allegedly.
But there were Mancini.
Sure. But this is the whole last decade, right? Like it's all this time. And that Pep Guardiola now goes to a Man City team that won the Premier League because Mancini's there and a little bit more is set in place. That all kind of comes back to it.
But either way, well, maybe I'm looking at it just in like black and white. Excuse the pun. Because I'm just like, obviously, you know what I'm saying, it's a money thing, innit? Obviously, let's keep it real. But I just feel like either way, as football fans, just in general, we've been blessed to see that, if just as a football fan, blessed to see these players on the pitch. For me, to see that, to witness that. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think you can't just tarnish that, because individually they are ballers, they're proper talented, they're elite. And for me, it's just like, at the end of the day, it's ball. It's still football, it's still on the pitch, and it is what it is. Do you get what I'm saying?
Can I actually question you?
It is what it is.
In terms of like, within 5 years' time, if let's say the Chelsea go on and do the same sort of thing, and then these 8-year contracts come out to be something that was exploiting the system, would you not have your opinion on that side?
I think it's coming.
No, I would back the same thing. If Chelsea found out, like, again, they pay me money, but not illegally. But if it came out that, the contracts were... wouldn't get into that. I'll give me too much. If it came out that, Chelsea... Like, it's funny saying it now, because before these rules were in place, Chelsea did spend as much money as they wanted to. But now they are in place. Like, that is the factual information we have now. They've happened. And so if they have broken that down the line, and there are reports that Chelsea, when the new owners came in, they kind of dobbed themselves in, that their old previous ownership had done stuff. If that stuff has happened, then they should be punished. Like, I think that's how it works. It's an 8-year contract thing. If by the looks of it isn't anything wrong at the moment, because they've changed the rule due to it happening. But if it's something coming out that it was wrong, I do think.
But would it tarnish though?
Would it tarnish if they win the Premier League?
Yes. For your club.
Yeah.
Even though you've been blessed to see and you had happy days.
But you can't
would you tarnish it though?
But because that means that say Arsenal, they had I don't know what you read. Say Arsenal or any other team. Say like we had another year where Leicester could have been the people that were like battling Chelsea for that title, and they didn't get it because Chelsea were able to spend more money illegally. Yeah. That's not fair. Like, especially if Leicester have, I don't know why it's always Leicester, it could have been Brentford, could have been Ipswich or Palace or Southampton. But if they had abided by the rules, surely they sit there and go, hang on a second. Like, think about what happened a couple of years ago, where we saw Everton get punished for money. We saw Forest get punished for money. Other clubs got relegated because of that, and there is an argument to say they benefited.
But the argument you're saying though is the word. I'm going by the actual rhetoric. Tarnished. As in, let's say for your own club personally, whatever. Like even let's just say Arsenal was in the situation. I think Arsenal played some blessed football. For me, would I think, oh man, they did it wrong. So you know what? I don't like the way they played the ball no more. I'm still gonna appreciate it. You can't erase it.
But that wouldn't have happened.
It's a business. A business has broken 115 charges.
I agree.
That's a business.
This is my argument, right? Yeah. So to say it was mismanagement was the key word you used.
Financial mismanagement.
Financial mismanagement. To me, it was financial exploitation because these new owners came in and they found the club who were, yes, Man City have history, but in the 2000s, they weren't as big as they are now. So they found the club a growing market, and from like an entrepreneurial view, they thought, how do we grow this club to be worth billions to compete with the big boys? So they financially found like a way to exploit the market.
Yeah, they mismanaged their finances.
They financially exploited it.
They just invested like everyone did before.
Which then allowed them to gain the advantage for them to build upon their team to make them a large franchise that they are today. But it all comes from exploitation, which is why I feel as though it is tarnished. If it was a club of integrity like West Ham, like Arsenal, if they got caught doing what they were doing, well, everyone's gonna be like, hold on, that ruins everything. You guys had integrity about yourselves, and now you've just changed completely your foundations by exploitation.
Also, it doesn't necessarily. It doesn't make Kevin De Bruyne a worse footballer. It doesn't
Not
make
at
Pep
all. I
Guardiola
agree.
a worse
Doesn't.
manager.
Separate.
But if you go Manchester City won the Premier League in that period of time and they broke the rules, it does tarnish that statement.
Look what happened
not
to
the
Inter
people
Milan.
individually.
Inter Milan and Juventus. Juventus, not Inter Milan. Juventus, they had their whole one. It's got the asterisk next to it now that they didn't win it. But you would change your mind.
Oh,
You would change your mind.
Just what some of you just said, because you said Arsenal and West Ham, but West Ham were the original club with Tevez and
Sheffield United.
and no one remembers that now. So yeah,
Fair play.
Yeah, but it's
Really good shout.
If you want,
They stayed up. They stayed up.
Stayed in the Premier
They
League.
stayed in the Premier League.
it's a lesser achievement.
But there's
And also,
but no one brings it up anymore.
yeah, but
It's
you
like all
just
these
think,
things.
you do, don't you?
But
You
we're-
would think about it if you thought about that deeply. But we're talking about winning the golden prize, the Premier
You're not
League.
gonna
That's
ask
why
It's
it's way
literally
more
because
relevant.
we won a
Yeah,
lot.
you don't. No
If
one
we
cares.
won,
No one cares about
staying up,
staying up
whatever.
5 years, 10
But
years.
Leicester had a weird FFP thing coming up from the Championship, which was just sort of like. And does that take it away? Then they would never have done.
But they have been.
everything else
They have been. You mean when they first came up all those years ago?
No,
recently.
They had a weird little.
Yeah, but they were punished, weren't they, financially?
No.
There was no points.
There's no point. But then that's a whole different argument to be like, what should the
No, but
punishment
the-
be?
but with that-
Oh, do you think their promotion was
But
tarnished?
does that tarnish Leicester to
I
everyone else?
guess the difficulty is the one is getting promoted, one is winning the Premier League. Like
Yeah, but
that,
it's
no
still
one cares unless you
succeeding
win.
is just level.
Someone loses out.
It just tarnishes people's opinion, I think. A bit.
Yeah.
Like when, like I don't know,
Yeah,
this is
but no one
financial.
cares about it.
But like you know, when athletes get caught like cheating and like doping
Yeah.
and stuff, you're like, oh, but would they have won if they hadn't doped or done this or that?
Yeah.
And it's like with Man City, would they have won that if they didn't inject that money that they wouldn't have been allowed to inject had that not happened? And I think it's more of like a opinionated thing that people will say, maybe they wouldn't have. And I think the football that they played was incredible, and you can't take that away from Pep to an extent because that's not on Pep, that is on financial mismanagement. But it is just the general opinion of like with athletes, would they have won that? Would have City have won that? And that's what people will think.
Well, I've got a question then. So the mismanagement from Man City and whatnot. Would that have been? Chelsea's treble win was funded by a rich oligarch at the time.
Yes.
I don't necessarily look back on that as a dirty Premier League.
But the
spent
difference, I
dirty
guess, is
money.
the rules that are in place. The rules weren't in place then.
But if they were 10 years previous, would I think about?
But
Sure,
you're
I still
potentially being charged for
Yeah.
rules that you did break then.
Sure. Yeah. I actually don't know enough.
And I don't
not
think
going
back
back.
to
But
that.
that's why no one knows enough.
If Slot wins the Premier League in his first season, it's a bigger accomplishment than when Jurgen Klopp did it.
For the individual, yeah, not for the club. For Slot
I
himself.
just think the squad he inherited is a lot better than the squad that Klopp inherited. The way that
The boys over
Yeah.
they disagree.
I'm very close on that.
Yeah,
too,
I'd probably
I think
say.
because the squad that Slot has inherited is largely made up by Klopp, but obviously there's the time that Klopp took to make that squad. But I'm literally in the middle. Kind of.
I'm a bit.
I'm saying just like on the pure statement itself, winning the Premier League in your first season, comparing it to Slot, comparing it to Klopp, who took 7 years and only won one, then it's more significant. But
I'm way over. I'm way over here. I'm not super disagree. I think like he's inherited an amazing squad. Arguably, like they've strengthened where they kind of needed to, but they didn't have to strengthen that much anyway. They've got Mo Salah, who's probably one of the best players in the
No,
Premier League.
strength of the league. The league.
Strength of the league.
Look at City and look at their full.
Yeah.
Arsenal can't keep
True.
11 players on the pitch for the first 5 games of the season. People just throwing games away. And Liverpool have been amazing. Slot looks unbelievable, but Klopp changed. I mean, what was Klopp? Klopp's team was just appalling before when he took that over. So
I disagree with the statement, but the only thing I'd say about that is that obviously the year that Liverpool did eventually win it was in a league where Man City were weak than they were. They had kind of fallen off a little bit. But then again, you could make that argument. That's because whether it was down to this or not, but Jurgen Klopp had a right good go at them for the few years before, and almost you could make the argument that he made them crack.
do you not
And
think
they
that's
got
the
there
same
in the
this year that this is an exhausting
Not really.
Man City team that's been like,
Not in the same
overly
way
driven?
that, but it wasn't Liverpool that were putting that pressure on them to. Well, I think Klopp's achievement felt so special because there was that clear rivalry with Guardiola year in, year out, or for the couple of years before that. And then he made, you could make the argument if you were a Liverpool fan that he made them crack, and then they eventually won it. They got what they deserved, and they won Champions League before that as well. It's a tough one. I do disagree, but I mean, like you said, him coming in and winning it in his first season would be an amazing statement. But in terms of this statement, Klopp's one was bad.
You can also make the argument, I think, that Slot winning in his first season is credit to Klopp for building a team with the foundations.
Yeah.
When next manager comes in, we've still got, from what our old manager just said for us, that we're going to win the league.
But last season Liverpool weren't near it. Towards the end they faded away. So it's not like he's inherited a Premier League winning squad. He's taken the squad that he's inherited and made them into.
So also finished outside the top 4 the year before that as well. So it wasn't like
It wasn't all great. And look, if you put it in perspective, let's think about it. It's not easy for any a coach to come from abroad. The pressure coming to a big club like Liverpool, and not only that, you can already see it's not like he's come and it's just still clock ball. He's implemented his own different style of play. Like Liverpool not so gung ho, crazy no more. They can adapt to different. I can already see the adaptation of like they can sit back and defend for a bit and then switch it like that and move it forward. And I think if that carries on throughout the season, and it's his first season, and he's from abroad, he's new to the Premier League. Of course, that's going to be better than Klopp's first season. I know Man City have fallen off a little bit at the moment, but I think he's doing a brilliant job.
So Slot wins the Prem this year. That's better than Klopp winning the Prem, the Champions League.
No, just the Prem.
Liverpool from a front three, Barini,
but that wasn't the question, though.
But I guess the question.
That wasn't the question. That wasn't the question, bro.
Not the Champions League.
Just the Premier League, bro. Let's keep it.
Again, would anyone change sides?
That's different.
Anyone going to move side?
I think it's really close.
It's close. If it's about winning the
Prem,
Prem,
what side are you on?
It started off.
You got to pick one. You got to pick one.
Okay.